Hello, Parsboro Community Radio listeners. Welcome to Exploring the Neighborhood with your hosts, Thor and Debbie, here on CICR 99.1 on your FM dial. We'd like to thank Kanza as the sponsor for our show.
For those of you who are not aware, Kanza is Cumberland County's only Careers Nova Scotia Centre and a vital participant in this area's road to prosperity. This year, Kanza is celebrating 15 years of serving the area and providing valuable employment and educational opportunities. Our goal for Exploring the Neighborhood is to take you on a series of half-hour adventures that include road trips, candid interviews, and commentaries.
We'll focus on the area's homegrown businesses, unique landmarks, and emerging talent. We're hoping to shine a well-deserved light on the local endeavors that promote eco-friendliness and self-sufficiency.
Welcome to another episode of Exploring the Neighborhood. And we're sitting here comfortably enjoying a nice snowy day in Springhill, Nova Scotia, with Vickie Porter.
Hello.
Vickie, welcome.
Thank you so much.
You have been living in Springhill, so we're going to test your knowledge on the area. But first, I'd like to say that you've written a wonderful series of books.
Thank you.
I have not read them yet, so I'm going to rely on you to tell me about them. Tell us about your books.
Actually, my favorite one is Ghost on the Island. That's where it started. And I walked through an old derelict hotel.
Where?
Down in beautiful Five Islands, Nova Scotia. The scenery there is amazing, but this hotel has been around for quite some time. People started going in, tearing pieces apart, and mementos perhaps, and they left the shell for the most part. And I went in and I walked from room to room and marveled at some of the things I saw, and it was almost as if the walls were talking to me. Now that was in September of 2005. I didn't pick up a pen till December, and the book was written in less than 2.5 weeks.
Who let you into the hotel?
Doors were all wide open.
Where is the hotel?
When you go into Five Islands, whether you go through Parsboro or down through Lynn Road, you're about midway. Broderick Beach is across the road. That's where the lighthouse is now located, and the old Broderick Hotel is on your left.
Can anyone go down there now, or?
Well, yeah, you can go down. You can't get into the hotel anymore.
Okay.
You'd have to have the owner's permission. It's been sold.
None of this breaking in thing.
No,
Okay.
Wouldn't do that.
No. So the first book is called Ghost on the Island. It's very interesting. Kind of spooky in a way.
No, he's not scary at all. As it starts out, Theresa is a young lady living in North Carolina, and she starts having dreams, and she wakes up very sad. And they can't figure out why, so her uncle just, says, why don't we set up a recorder, and if you speak in your dreams, we'll find out. So they do that for a couple of days, and she starts speaking in a male Scottish brogue. She mentions cold water, 5 islands that are placed in a row, children dying, they've drowned, and a pirate ship out behind one of the islands. Exams come up, but they keep taping her. And they don't check them until exams are finished, and they invite one of the professors from the university over. And she's made some sketches. So this day they're going through all the tapes and talking and that. And once the professor looks at the sketches, he says, I know this place, it's my home. It's Five Islands, Nova Scotia.
Oh, and what's with the pirate ship?
Well, as she finds out with the recordings, that she's taking the part, or she's seeing through the eyes of a crew member from Captain Kidd's ship. His name is Bryce Gooden. And he explains to her where the treasure is once he gets to know her, and how it was set up that way. because we don't want people digging up all of the islands in hopes.
I hope not. We got to keep
Although
them.
I have been on Long Island, and there's 5 money pits there where people were digging, looking for the treasure.
There's money pits?
Yeah, not the sort you would see on Oak Island.
Oh, okay.
A much smaller scale. But now the island is private property, and there shouldn't be any more of that.
There's rumors that there's money buried all over this place here.
Yeah.
We keep hearing it. There's money buried. One day someone will dig it up.
Possibly. I hope they do.
Have you heard of anyone digging up treasures?
No. Personally, no. But I was shown some of the small pits on Long Island. Besides the house on the island, there's the cabin for the caretaker. There's one that looks like a small Roman Colosseum overlooking Egg and Pentacle Island. There's an artist cabin where you can put up the sides or down, depending on the wind, and sit there and paint. There's the riverboat cabin and the lighthouse cabin.
It sounds like you know this area.
Oh, I do very well.
How'd you get to know it?
I have been going there since I was born. My parents and my grandparents both had cottages there. So I'm very familiar with standing on the shore looking at the islands. Once when I was probably about 14, we went over to Moose Island, which is the largest, and we stayed at tide there. You can go over, you can walk over when the tide is out.
I've heard you gotta hurry though.
Well, it depends on the tides. We have some real high tides, which mean real low. And that's when they also do the Not Since Moses run,
Okay.
during the lowest tides of the summer.
I think that's what Chris was talking about.
Yeah, Chris has done it.
Yeah.
I've been volunteering with them since 2007. And I just love it.
Do you run too?
No, I don't run, I volunteer. Although we do lots of running then.
So what's a volunteer do?
I work the 5 and 10K registration and getting people ready and out to their prospective areas where their run is supposed to start. Then afterwards I go and hand out t-shirts, water, bananas, sign up the kids for the basket run, whatever's needed.
Okay, good. We'd be there with you doing those kind of things.
Well, I'll give you Dick Lemon's email address.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So, why 3 books?
Well, I wrote the first one, and like I said, it happened in less than 2.5 weeks. And I didn't feel that it was completed, so I jumped in and I wrote The Ghost Returns, which carries on the story of Bryce and Theresa.
And it stays in 5 Islands.
It does. It stays in 5 Islands. And when I finished that, I said, okay, I'm done. And I went and I wrote a couple of others. And some of my friends were saying, well, the story's not finished. You can't leave us hanging. So Come Back to the Sea was born.
Okay.
And I've made sure it's a conclusion.
So you were sure to include some of that pirate
Oh,
story
yes.
in there.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Bryce even goes back to the pirate ship, but they won't recognize him. They tell him to go away. He's a ghost.
Ah. Well, we can't give away too much of the
No.
story, but we can explore the area. You spent summers in 5 Islands.
Yes.
What kind of things did you do?
Oh, we hung out always as large groups. Up at the park, I went from being just a big baseball diamond to a campground, so I was able to meet people from all over the world. And if we had somebody who had a car, we would take drives down to like Harrington Beach, Economy Falls, different
Economy
places.
Falls.
Yeah. They used to be quite a place. You drive up the road and then you make a left and you go in there and you travel for miles on this dirt road. And you find yourself in a parking lot of sorts. Then you go downhill to the foot of the falls. And it was gorgeous. You could picnic there, swim there. Then the front of the falls fell off and I haven't been back since.
Oh, it fell
No,
off.
yeah,
It's kind of like
it's-
4.5 islands.
And no.
Everything's falling apart here. Debbie and I want to go see Economy Falls.
We will get you there.
What do you mean by it fell apart?
The facing of the waterfall itself fell off. The water still comes down, but it doesn't look like it used to.
Oh, so it's not like flying off like Niagara Falls.
No.
It's sort of more of a river
Yeah,
thing.
I think so.
Oh, I got you. It's better than a collapsed bagel island. What did you call the bagel island? Sorry, I call it the bagel island because
Okay,
it looks like
you're
a bagel.
referring to Long Island.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. It really is. There's always been a hole in the island, and you don't realize that it's changed until, like you say, it collapsed. Mm-hmm. And I go back, and I've been taking pictures there forever. So you see the hole was small, and then it's larger and larger, and then there's no top on it.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll stay there for a while.
Oh, it'll stay for quite a while, I'm sure.
Okay.
There was a hole in that island when my mother was a child.
Oh. So we've got a few weeks anyway.
Yeah, easy.
All right. Sounds good.
So, Vicki, do you have a publisher that you're working with?
No, actually, I decided to go into the self-publishing, and I'm dealing with Halprint on Roby Street in Halifax. They've been great. I did contact another printer, and by the time they got back to me, I had already set up the order in Halifax because it was like over 2 weeks.
Okay.
And they're very easy to work with. The staff is great.
So do you just send them your story and they just print it off for you? And
Well, to a point. Then, like, I've actually made 3 trips down. I put all the books and the cover pictures on a flash drive and gave it to them, and they put it on their computers. I went back another week, I think, or a week and a half later, and they had the proofs ready for me to okay. I paid them, and I went back in a week and a half and picked up the Scotch in me. It was cheaper to go down and pick the books up than it was to send them by courier.
Sure. Do you have to order so many books?
Well, you can order whatever amount you want.
Okay.
I'm part chicken. I stick with 100 of each at a time, and when they sell, then I reorder.
Sure.
And for reordering, I just have to pick up the phone, call them, and they'll get them all. They have everything done.
Good. And how can people find your books?
Well, I was at the Five Islands and Economy Bazaar during the end of August and September. And I've done a couple of craft shows. And I had a book launch here about 2 weeks ago at the church. Now I guess people have to get in touch with me to buy them.
Great. So how can people get a hold of you?
By cell phone, 902-664-4325, or my email address, Vickie Porter, ca@gmail.com.
Wow.
And Vicki is spelled Vicki.
So we have, in front of me, I see 4 books total. And we have the first book, which is called Ghost on the Island. And then we have The Ghost Returns, which is part 2. Then we have the third book, which is Come Back to the Sea. And then we have the final book, The Game's Master. Now, what is this book about?
The Game's Master is a standalone book. It starts out online where women get into solitaire rooms and they're playing together, and they're playing with the same ones every day. They make friends, they tell everybody everything, and I do mean everything. But what if there's one person who is not there to play the games? He's there to just make notes, and he considers these girls, they're his girls. And what if something started to happen with these girls? Maybe a boyfriend got upset with them, and he decided to seek revenge. The girls don't know anything about it. The Games Master never gives away his name, never speaks to anybody.
Interesting.
Yes, and it concludes, for the most part, in Cape Breton.
Oh, neat. So, how would you label this book? Is it a mystery?
Murder mystery.
Murder mystery. Okay. I'll have to read that one for sure.
So, Vicki, tell me, why does the story end up in Cape Breton?
It finishes up, or it moves to Cape Breton, down on Point Coney road. If you go down that road to the end, there's an arrow-shaped piece of land. And there used to be the most gorgeous lighthouse and a little house for the electronics. And I loved it there. Every time I would go visit family, I'd drive down there, park, and walk up to the lighthouse, which sat on probably a 14-inch thick slab of cement. And I could sit there and lean back against the lighthouse and watch the fishing boats doing lobster and that down below me, and the seagulls and the eagles. And feel right at peace, and I could sit there and write about anything.
So you have family in Cape Breton?
Yes, I do. I've got a lot of cousins.
Okay, that's what brings you there. Okay, I was wondering.
So tell me, what inspired you to start writing?
I've always had a bit of an interest, and my father has a couple of books that he had published. Miracle Town is a story on Spring Hill, and the Moose River Cave-In, about a gold mine down in Moose River that caved in, and how they were able to get the people out. But myself, once I did that walk through the old hotel, I couldn't stop myself. And I have a hard time now. If I have 5 minutes free at home, I've usually got a scribbler and a pen, and I'm working on something.
That's wonderful. What a great creative outlet. Okay, so you have these 4 books. Is there any new projects or books you're working on?
Well, I still have 3 novels at home that have to be formatted, edited, and sent to the printers. I have a couple of children's books, and there's going to be a book of short stories for the children, and I'm working on 3 new projects at the moment.
What are those?
One is called The Gift Box. Another is actually a sequel to The Games Master called The Master Copycat. And the other one is going to be a series of short stories.
Okay. What is The Gift Box about?
Well, it's about a box that was given to a lady, and I can't get in too much detail there. And she in turn gives it to her great-granddaughter. And it seems to hold the ability for time travel between the 2 periods of when these women lived.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to have to read that one. So you also write poetry, I hear.
Yes, there's a lot of it.
Is it love poetry, or like what kind of poetry do you write?
Well, there's not a whole lot of love poetry. I'm a people watcher. I like to stand back and watch people and then sit and write about it.
Okay.
I was volunteering at the nursing home one day, and I'm watching these ladies, and some of them go up to the door and they stand there like they're waiting for someone to come visit them. One, her son lived in town, and he would never go visit her. Another woman, well, she was 102 at the time, and she had no children. There was no family to go visit her. You see scenes like that, and it just comes out.
How do you get your character names?
Well, it's going to sound strange, but for the most part, when I first started writing, I went to several graveyards, and I divided them, right side, left side, and from the left, I took first names, if the names interested me. Never 2 from the same headstone, and I'd walk through, and then I'd do the right side, and that's where I got the last names.
Okay. Debbie and I actually spend a lot of time photographing the gravestones and cemeteries. There's so many around here. Can you recommend a few?
The Rose Graveyard down in Westchester. The Rushton Graveyard is kind of on the side of a hill, and I've done etchings there. Took my nieces and that, and we did etchings of some of the stones. And there's a few more graveyards I've got my eye on. I want to go in and have a look. And each one has unique names, and that way I can put the names in the right time zone of when I'm writing.
I always felt that the cemeteries were like a book. They told a story.
They do.
You can see the development of the town. You can actually see who's got money, who doesn't, who slept with who sometimes.
Oh, well, I don't know about that one. But I know down in Minudie, they used to be 2 churches and a schoolyard. Now I guess the churches have been redone a bit. And the school ground, or the schoolhouse, is a museum. But if you go off in the hill up on one of the back roads off to the right, you'll come to their cemetery. And it's a man-made lake up there. King Solomon, he was a grindstone king.
Seaman.
He wanted to be he wanted to be buried by the water. And so they put a lake up there, and he is buried beside the water.
We were there during hunting season. The caretaker came real quick to warn us that there was a couple of hunters that were chasing a deer through there.
Oh.
But we were safe. We got all the pictures. It really is a beautiful one.
It is.
Absolutely agree with you. It's gorgeous. Yes, there's the Baronsfield one too, which is tucked away. You have to walk to get to it.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
And it's all overgrown, but the picture is just mind-boggling how beautiful it is. It's all moss area with overhanging trees.
Oh, that would be
gorgeous.
nice.
Sun shines through and
Yeah,
lights it up.
The kind of place where you want to travel, take your camera and a notebook
Yep.
so you don't miss anything.
It's a great place to go once you're done with this life.
Names of people who have passed on who were friends, they'll pop up in books from time to time. There's a young lady up the road from here, I believe. She's allowed me to use her name in one of the books I'm working on. And I'm very thankful to Neve.
I'll let you use Thor.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'll put that down on my list. How about you, Debbie?
You can use my name.
Thank you.
Now, Vicki, you grew up in Springhill.
Yes, I did.
Debbie and I are relatively new. What's there to do in Springhill?
Well, they've started up a dart team again. There's no more bowling, I'm afraid to say. There's card parties.
Card parties?
Yes, if you play crib or a local game called 45s, some people compare it to euchre.
Okay, no, it's poker or crazy eights. The extent of my card playing. I fail.
No, there's a seniors group for anyone who is of that age. Anybody above 50, I think they say. And they do quilting and, like I say, cards. I'm not sure what else.
You go on walks, though, around here.
Yes, exactly. There's a walking track at the arena on the second floor, and it has the protective padding around it so that you're not hurting yourself when you're walking on the cement.
And they have free skating as well.
Yeah, free skating Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I think it is, for the school-age children after school, which is wonderful.
And with all the old mines, they didn't make a swimming hole?
No. Years ago, we used to have a place called the Lakes, and we really enjoyed going down there when we were allowed, because there was always people of all ages, and everybody was friends. The older ones would light a bonfire so you could get up and get dried off before your trek home.
Where was that?
When you're heading out of town towards Amherst on the old highway, just before you get to Schaefer's Ultramar, there's a road on the right. And you used to go in through there. I have no idea who owns it now.
Okay. There's all kinds of places around Spring Hill, but I gotta get locals to tell me where they are.
That's right.
And nobody wants to reveal the secret. I do things, but I won't tell you.
Well, you've seen my secrets. A pen and paper and start writing, and hours can slip by and I don't even notice it.
I must say, because I have written movie scripts and I know how much work goes into it. Just the fact that you got it done and you got 4 of them done and you've got a whole bunch coming, it's an incredible feat.
Well, thank you.
And now, what are you going to do with these?
Well, I'm hoping to get some more printed off and have them for sale, and who knows where it'll go from there.
There's a lot of places that you could probably sell them in. I know Dale at Flying Colors would probably have them for you. Ottawa House, I know they wouldn't mind having it. There's the little log cabin out in Joggins that would probably...
Well, I'm going to have to get in touch with these people and see if they would consider taking a few.
Yeah, we got to make you one of the more famous writers in Cumberland County.
Well, thank you.
And what do you have planned for the future then? Personally?
Personally, it's an open road. Long as I have time to spend with my children and grandchildren and time to write, I'm happy. I also like to volunteer with different organizations, my church. I checked the post office this morning and I received a letter from the Cancer Society. They're going to stop going door to door collecting in March. And I have been doing it for over 40 years, so I received a 40-year pin.
But what are they going to do now?
They said that they were going to look into other avenues of fundraising. They didn't specify.
GoFundMe page, probably.
That could be.
Good luck with that one. Vicki, thank you so much for coming and joining us.
You're very welcome, and I thank you for inviting me.
I would like to let everyone who's listening know that these are going to be the best Christmas gifts you could possibly envision. So I will repeat this once. We have Ghost on the Island, Book 1. We have The Ghost Returns, which is Book 2. And we have Come Back to the Sea. It's a trilogy. It's a fabulous story. We encourage you to buy it. It's locally written and locally produced, and it's available locally. In other words, you go down to all those big bookstores, you won't find it. You only can get it here. And we encourage you to buy it for Christmas. The other one that you can choose is The Games Master. All of these books are written by the wonderful and lovely Vickie Porter, local Spring Hill resident.
Thank you. I hope people enjoy reading the books as much as I enjoyed writing.
We will. And thanks for giving us the heads up on the real story. People, we didn't give it all away on the radio. Come on, buy the book.
Okay, time has run out. If you'd like to contact us, our email is scotiaheritageproductions@gmail.com.
When it comes to local business, arts, crafts, and entertainment, we'll try our best to provide a global perspective on our community and remind listeners that where one regularly chooses to spend their money is often much more powerful than the occasional vote at the ballot box.
So, help out your talented neighbors and enjoy the unique diversity of what Cumberland, Westmoreland has to offer. And ultimately, you'll be helping yourself. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Exploring the Neighborhood is sponsored by Kansa, your Careers Nova Scotia Centre.
So, tune in next week for another episode of Exploring the Neighborhood with your hosts, Thor and Debbie, here on CICR 99.1 on your FM dial.